everybody, welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to play the guitar solo from the Ozzy song Lightning Strikes. Now, this one comes off of the Ultimate Sin album back in 1986, and therefore it's got Jakey Lee on guitar. And before we get started, it's also important to mention that just like the original song, you want your guitar to be tuned down 1/2 step. So E becomes E flat, A becomes A flat, D becomes D flat, etc. You know the drill. Alright, let's go ahead and jump on into it. Now in a minute here, I'm going to break down the entire solo note by note and explain it all. But first, I'm going to play the whole thing slowly. That way the more advanced players can get through this more quickly. And for people that want to practice along once they've learned all the notes, they can come back and practice to it. All right, let's go. All right, here's section 1 at normal and then slow speed. So in the first box, we're going to play this. So we start with a unison bend here, 10th fret of the high E along with the 13th fret of the B string. And I use my ring finger to bend up at the 13th fret of the B string for this part. It just helps transition through the section a little bit easier. And then you hold that, and at the top, after you hold it for a little bit, you're going to hit the 10th fret note again lightly, and then give the 13th fret B string note vibrato. Now we move into the second box, and you're still holding that unison bend, okay? 10th fret of high E, and then the 13th fret of B bent up. You're going to hit that 3 times and then bring it down. Then in the third box, we're going to play 10th fret of high E. You've still got your finger anchored there. And then the 13th fret of the B 3 times. And on the third time, you're going to slide the 13th fret note down to 12. Now in the fourth box, right before you play those first 2 notes, bar your index finger across the B and the E strings, okay, right before you play it. So it's 10th fret of high E along with 12th fret of B 3 times. And on the third time you pull off from the 12th fret of B to the 10th. And then in the last box, you're playing that 10th fret of B and 10th fret of high E together 3 times. And then while you're letting that note, those notes ring out, you're going to hammer onto the 12th fret of G, okay? And then play that new shape, which is 12th fret of G, 10 of B, and 10 of high E 2 more times. Here's the section one more time. All right, let's move to section 2. Section 2 goes like this. So in the first box, we're going to play this. So basically, you've got one finger on the 10th fret of the B string and another on the 11th fret of the G. And you're going to play both together, and then you're going to bend up just the G string, half a step, up and down. And then 12th fret of D. Then in the second box we play this. So we start with the 10th fret of the D string, add a pinch harmonic, hammer on to 12, pull off to 10, slide to 9. Okay? 10, 12, 10, 9. And then 10th fret of D, 9th fret of D, 10th fret of A, palm muted. Then in the final box we play. So we're going to slide up from the 10th fret of A to the 12th. Then we play 10th fret of D, followed by 12th fret of D with pinch harmonics. And then you add wide vibrato to the 12th fret. Now you'll notice that after that 12th fret note on the D string with the wide vibrato, I slide down and back up. And the tabs show that I slide down to the 2nd fret and back up to the 12th. That's what my ear hears when I slow it down, but I wouldn't get too hung up on that. I would just slide down and up. Here's the section one more time. All right, let's keep moving. All right, here's section 3. So in the first box we play this. So it's the 15th fret of the high E, bend up, hold it for a little bit, and then bring it back down. Then in the second box we play this. So it's 14th fret of high E, hammer on to 15, pull off to 14. And then 15B, 14E, 15B. Then in the third box we play this. So it's 10th fret of B, hammer on to 15, pull off to 10. And then 12G, 10B, 12G. Then in the fourth box we play this. So it's 11th fret of G, hammer on to 12, pull off to 11. And then 12D, 11G, 12D. Then in the final box we play this. So it's 7th fret of D, hammer on to 12, pull off to 7. And then palm muted, we're going to play 10th fret of A, 7 of D, 10 of A. Here's the section one more time. All right, let's keep moving. All right, here's section 4. Now with this section, before I break it down note for note, I want to call out that I start with an upstroke on this section. And the reason I do that is because it just feels more natural coming out of the last section, because I just ended with a downstroke, so now I'm coming into this one with an upstroke. But certainly you can play it the other way. And the reason I want to emphasize this right now is when I was learning this solo after I figured it out, I started practicing it, this section, starting with a downstroke. And then when I went back to tie it all together, it didn't feel natural and it felt clumsy. And I was trying to figure out what I did wrong, and then I realized that I need to start this section with an upstroke for it to feel smooth and consistent, for me. Anyway, here we go. This first box. So it's 8th fret of low E followed by 12, 10, 8. And then 10, 9 on A and 10 on E. Here's box 1 again, slowly. Then in the second box we play this. So it's 12, 10, 9 on A. And then 12D, 12A. You can see that I bar my pinky across the D and A strings when I play those last two notes. In the third box we play this. So it's 9 on A, followed by 12-10 on D, and 12 on A. Then in the fourth box, we play this. So it's 11th fret of G twice, followed by 12-10 on D, and then 12-11 G, 12 on D. Then in the final box, we play this. So it's 10 on B, followed by 12-11 on G, 13-10-12 on B, 10 on high E, 13 and 10 on B. Here's the section one more time. All right, let's keep moving. Here's section 5. So what we're going to do here is we're going to play the 15th fret of the high E string. We're going to bend it up a full step, okay? Then we're going to hold it for a little bit, bring it down halfway. Now from there, again, you've bent halfway back down, you're going to hit the note again and bring it up the equivalent of 4 frets or 2 steps from the first note we played, the 15th fret, and give it a wide vibrato, okay? Okay? So it's like bending up from here to here, back down to here, and then back up to here. And then wide vibrato. Then in the second box, we're going to play this. So it's 12th fret of high E, hammer on to 14, pull off to 12. That's done really quickly. And then 15th fret of B. Dig into that bend, full step up, wide vibrato. Here's the section one more time at normal and then slow speed. All right, let's keep moving. All right, here's section 6. So in the first box, we play this. Super, super classic rock lick there, right? So first thing we're going to do is you want to bar your index finger across the 12th fret of the high E and B strings throughout this entire section right here, okay? So you're going to play 12th fret of high E, and then 15 of B, pull off to 12, and then 14th fret of G, bend up. Now, what I like to do with this lick in this particular solo is for the first 2 notes, the 12th fret of the high E and the 15th of the B, I do those with a upstroke, okay? Before doing a downstroke with the 14th fret of G bend. Okay, watch my right hand. That really helps me facilitate the right speed, especially when it comes to the next part. So you play that lick we just played 3 times. Then in the second box, we do this. Here it is slowly. So again, you've got your index finger barred across the 12th fret of the high E and B strings. You're going to play 12th fret of the high E, followed by 15th fret of B, pull off to 12, hammer on to 15, pull off to 12. Okay? 15, 12, 15, 12. And then 14th fret of G. We play that 4 times. Now, just like the first part of this, I like to play the first 2 notes, the 12th fret of high E and the 15th of the B, with an upstroke. And then the 14th fret of the G with a downstroke. I've just found that once again that helps me facilitate the right speed. And in fact, you can almost hit the 12th and the 15th fret notes, those first two in the sequence, at the same time. It goes by so quickly. I mean, Jake is just ripping through this section. It's pretty challenging. Here's the section one more time. All right, let's keep moving. All right, here's section 7. So in the first box, we play this. Okay, notice the wide stretch. We're going to start with the 17th fret of the high E, pull off to 12, and then 15 of B. And then 12th fret of high E, 15 of B, pull off to 12. Then in the second box, we're going to play this. So it's 17th fret of B, pull off to 12, and then 14 of G. 12th fret of B, and then 14 of G, slide down to 13. Now, with that, slide down to the 13th. I mean, this part, again, is just going by so fast. Jake's just ripping here. You can even just pull off to the 12th fret if you want, if that feels more natural and most people won't notice. Again, it goes by so quickly, but if you slow it down, you can hear him slide into the 13th fret. Then in the third box, we play this. So it's 16th fret of G, pull off to 12, and then 14 of D. And then 12th of G, 14D, 12D. And then the final bend there, it's the 14th fret of the D. You're going to bend up 1.5 steps, so it takes it from here to here. And then wide vibrato, a couple times, slide down. Here's the last box again. All right, here's this entire section one more time. All right, let's move to section 8. All right, here's section 8. Now this is another great classic rock type of lick, very blues rock oriented. And every time I play it, I can't help think of Jimmy Page and Whole Lotta Love when he plays this. Right? It's up in that same position, similar notes. So in the first box, we're going to play this. So we're going to play the 19th fret of the high E, bend up 1.5 steps. And then at the top of that bend, you're going to hit the note and bring it down quickly. Okay? And then 18, 17 on high E. So far. And then 20 and 19 on the B, and then 17 of B, hammer on to 19. First box again. Then in the second box, we play this. So it's 19th fret of the B string. You're going to do a pre-bend, okay? Bend it up 1/2 step, hit the note, then bring it down. And then 17, 20 on B. Then you stop that note quickly. And then 20 of B, pull off to 17. Add wide vibrato and hit 17 again, okay? All right, here's the section one more time. All right, let's keep moving. All right, here's section 9. All right, now we're going to break that down note for note. However, I don't recommend trying to pick every note exactly as I tabbed it. Okay, that may sound funny. I'm going to explain. When Jake is playing this part, okay, I highly doubt he was thinking, oh, now this note I'm going to play 3 times and this one I'm going to play 2 times. He was going with what felt right. Right? Kind of, it's that tremolo picking technique. Okay, so I'm going to show you it note by note the way Jake did it. This is how I hear it when I slow it down. But then I'm going to show you how I recommend actually learning it. Okay, so in the first box, we've got 17th fret of B, slide down to 15. And then in the second box, we're going to play 15th fret of B 3 times, 17th fret 3 times, 19th fret 3 times. And then in the third box, we're going to play 17th fret of B twice, followed by 19th fret of B 3 times, and then 15th fret of high E 3 times. Then in the fourth box, we're going to play 14th fret of high E twice, 15th fret 3 times, and 17th fret 3 times. Then in the fifth box, we're going to play 15th fret of high E twice, 17th fret 3 times, 19th fret 2 times. And then in the final box, we're going to play 17th fret 3 times, 19th fret 2 times, and then 21st fret of the high E twice. On the second time, you're going to bend up a half a step. And then at the top of that bend, you're going to hit the note, bring it back down quickly, vibrato. Okay? All right, that's it note for note. Okay, but again, if you try to practice it that way and count every time you hit a note, it's going to sound choppy, it's going to sound robotic. I recommend that you instead just focus on tremolo picking. Okay, so focus on these notes instead. Okay, you're going to start with that in that first box with the 17, slide down to 15 on B. Okay, but then think of it this way: 15, 17, 19 on the B, 17, 19 on B, followed by 15 on E, 14, 15, 17 on high E, 15, 17, 19 on high E, 17, 19, 21 on high E, and then you do the bends. So again, if you just learn those notes and apply tremolo picking, that's the best way to approach it, in my opinion. Okay? Don't get caught up on how many times you pick it. Just go with what feels right. And then finally, after you've played that 21st fret note, right, and you're letting it ring out for a little bit, so you're letting it ring, right, from the last. And then after a while, there's a couple more picked notes, okay? You're going to play the 21st fret of high E. Now, the one thing I want to call out with this section is those first 2 notes that you're playing at the 21st fret and you're sustaining them and adding vibrato before the final slide down. It is quite possible that Jake didn't pick those notes. It's quite possible that there's some sort of oscillating effect going on that's bringing those notes back into prominence. Okay, that's quite possible. So figure out what works best for you. All right, that was my lesson on how to play the guitar solo from Ozzy's Lightning Strikes. If you found it helpful or informative, I would appreciate a thumbs up. And please hit that subscribe button if you've not done so already. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I will attempt to answer them as time allows. Until next time, rock on.